Hi there guys, welcome to another DVD haul. I've got a stack of 10 DVDs over here, plus one. I'll show you that in a little bit. It's the big kahuna. For me, this is the holy grail. Any collection that I want from DVDs, Blu-rays or anything like that, it's always going to be Star Trek first and foremost, right? It's my favorite franchise, it's my favorite TV shows, it's my favorite movie series of all time. Star Trek is the be-all and end-all as far as I'm concerned. May not be the same for you, but it's how it is for me. All right. So I have watched these movies. This is the first 10, of course, before the reboot. It's not a reboot. It's more like it's an alternate timeline universe, the Kelvinverse as we call it, or JJ-verse, as it's called derogatively. Sorry, I can't speak. It's 3 a.m. by the way. Just come back from work. So so these are the first 10, the original cast, TOS 6, and then 4 with the new generation. These are the ones that these are ones that are held more closer to the heart of Trekkies like myself. Although I do like the Kelvinverse as well, pieces here and there. But still, these are the ones that matter the most to me. Anyhow, before I show you the DVDs, just want to tell you, all these came from Amazon UK, from sellers in the UK. I had to buy them from Amazon UK. Funny enough, I tried finding these on Amazon India, and I tried finding them on Flipkart, which is a similar service for India alone. And I had to, if I were to buy it from them, it would have cost me much more, almost double the charge for buying these from the UK, from UK sellers, and shipping them to India. That's the funniest I've ever heard of these things. It's not for all of them. The majority of my collection is stuff I buy from Amazon India or from Flipkart. But these ones, for Star Trek and for some others, Star Trek especially, when I checked, I did find them. They were they were temporarily out of stock for a while, but when I checked, they were priced like around the 2,000 rupees mark. I don't know why, but still. I looked for options. I tried Amazon.com and I tried Amazon Amazon UK. And when I converted the currency, I found that it was cheaper to buy it from Amazon UK. Alright, so let's, without further ado, let's go through all the 10 DVDs. Okay, I'm going to place them over here. Let's go with, I'm going to do it this way. I was so happy when I got them, right? So let's go with the first one. The motion picture came out in 1979. Very important for Indians, by the way, because the main actress, lead actress other than Uhura, is Nichelle Nichols, is Persis Kambata. She's no longer with us, she passed away. She was a former Miss India and an actress, model and actress. It was a big deal back then. So I don't remember actually watching it in the 80s, certainly not 70s, but in the 80s. I do remember my family was talking about this. Some of my aunts who did watch a few movies, they were talking about especially the fact that Persis Kambata was in it. So it's a grand movie. It's on the scale, it's kind of epic. It reminds me a lot of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and nobody has got the balls to make this kind of a movie. It's pure science fiction. So I think 2001 and then Star Trek the motion picture, those kind of movies are kind of difficult to come by these days. You may not see one for a long time. Anyhow, so that's Star Trek the motion picture. Keep that aside. Next, my favorite movie of all time, my favorite Star Trek movie of all time, Wrath of Khan. I've seen this movie at least 20 times, and I will be watching this soon again. So Ricardo Montalban, again, the late Ricardo Montalban. They don't make actors like these anymore. Of course, Leonard Nimoy no longer with us. DeForest Kelley no longer with us. James Doohan also no longer with us. But this is my favorite movie. When I say favorite movie, I put two movies that I put together saying these are my favorite. One of those Wrath of Khan. There's called The Departed with Leonardo DiCaprio and Matt Damon. I love those two movies a lot. So Wrath of Khan, you can't go wrong with this. 1982. It's also mentioned in a Bare Naked Ladies movie. Right? Wrath of Khan. Even if you don't watch Star Trek, even if you don't watch science fiction movies, please give this movie a watch. Number 3. Wrath of Khan starts the Star Trek movie trilogy, basically. They just connected to each other. Star Trek: The Search for Spock. When I first saw it, I wasn't that happy. I didn't feel it was that great. But I was really happy to see Christopher Lloyd because I had seen him in Back to the Future way back, and really loved those movies. I really loved really loved the actor. He was good as a Klingon main villain. So Star Trek: The Search for Spock, a very touching scene towards the end when Spock is united with his best friends. Sometimes the need of the one outweighs the need of the many, right? So Search for Spock. So after the first time that I watched it, which was a while back, I've seen them on cable. I've seen them quite a few on streaming services and on bootlegs as well. But after maybe the second or third view, I started liking this quite a lot, and I always look forward to seeing this movie in my rewatch, which I rewatch all the Star Trek movies every 2 years around December. Right? In fact, I just finished mine right now, a few days back. So Star Trek: The Voyage Home is the 4th movie and the 3rd in this in the trilogy. It's a fun film. It's kind of light-hearted. It's pretty nice. It's the one with the whales. Everybody knows the whales. The nuclear vessels. So that's it. What can I say? It's a pretty fun movie. And then we come to The Final Frontier, which is the much maligned movie, directed by William Shatner. However, there's a lot of studio interference. He had a grand vision for this movie, and unfortunately, he couldn't do what he wanted to. But I still do like it. Granted, it's probably my second least favorite, I guess, Star Trek movie. Still, there are a couple of scenes in it that really get me. You guys should know which one they are. The one and the campfire. All the two ones at the campfire, rather. But the one towards the beginning of the movie is really, really touching. So, Star Trek V: The Final Frontier. What does God need with a starship? So we come to the final movie of the TOS era, with all the TOS characters and actors, and they do come in generations a little bit, but still, this is the last hurrah. Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country. This is the one I've seen most on cable. For some reason, it used to come on cable here quite a bit in India. I forgot to mention, haven't taken them off the shrink wrap. I'm not going to take it out right now. I'm going to wait a little while before I do that. But yeah, this is a pretty good movie, is all I can say. Again, something that I feel that is missing from science fiction movies of the current generations. This is a really good movie. Very political. It's a super movie. So Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country. Coming towards the fag end of the collection. Star Trek VII: Generations. Very touching, very moving scenes, especially the death of Kirk. This is when the TNG crew comes into picture. Released in 1994. The clown can stay, but the Ferengi in the gorilla suit has got to go. So you see Picard and company, and then finally towards the end of the movie, Picard joins forces with Kirk. Too difficult to explain as to how that happens, because they're supposed to be around 70 to 80 years apart, those two crews. But yeah, good movie. Good introduction for the cast of the new generation to come into the motion pictures. And then we come with, which is my second favorite sci-fi movie of all time, second favorite Star Trek movie of all time. So it's in my top 5 for best favorite movies. First Contact. You cannot go wrong with this movie. This is super. It's got science fiction. It's got the science aspects. It's got a lot of action. It's got really tense scenes and all that stuff. I guess this is pretty much close to Wrath of Khan as any other movie can get. Star Trek 8, the first contact. Sorry, Star Trek 8 First Contact came out in 1996 when they fight the Borg. They go back in time to stop Zefram Cochrane. Sorry, Zefram Cochrane's inaugural flight that goes into warp, and the Borg wanted to stop the first contact with the Vulcans, but our heroes are there to actually protect. Okay, so yeah, it's a pretty good movie, and I think it's probably my favorite thing other than Measure of a Man, in which Data has got a big part to play in. So yeah, Brett Spiner, that's him over there. So yeah, you can see another picture over here. So that's First Contact. Okay, now we're coming to a movie which again everybody said, and I agree, there should have actually been a 2-part episode in Star Trek The Next Generation's the TV series, and it isn't worth to be actually a movie. And I kind of agree for the most part. There are some good aspects to it. So even though I'm a huge Trekkie, I don't like anybody saying negative things about Star Trek. You can go, beam yourself out into the vacuum of space if you do. But at the same time, I do agree. This movies, they could have done something different. They could have chosen a different story. There are some aspects to it that I really like, so I'm not going to complain too much. Star Trek Insurrection. So this is probably another one that I've seen on cable quite a bit. So yeah, this came out in 1998, I believe. Alright. Finally, again, much maligned, Star Trek Nemesis. I don't know what your problem is with this movie. I like this movie quite a lot. Tom Hardy plays a great villain in this movie. He was pretty young at the time. I think he was only 27. This came out in 2002, I believe. Yeah, Generation's Final Journey. This is the final movie with the new generation cast. Sorry, the Next Generation cast. I keep making that mistake quite a bit. I'm over the 12-minute mark. But yeah, Star Trek Nemesis, I like a lot of scenes in this, and we have the death of Data. So, a very touching scene towards the end. But I like this movie quite a bit. You've also got Ron Perlman in this movie. So, how can you go wrong, man? I know, didn't do that well, but still, I like this quite a bit. Finally, just want to tell you, I actually made a mistake. I actually bought 2 copies of Generations. Was my mistake. In fact, this was actually sold by a third-party seller on Amazon UK, and I couldn't get any tracking for it. So after days went by, I thought maybe it was lost. So I purchased Star Trek Generations again. Unfortunately, I received both. So look-wise, I like this cover, definitely. I couldn't find any of the others. I was only finding all of them in this, except for Star Trek Nemesis. Excuse me. Looks-wise is pretty fine, but I might actually give this off to somebody. For uniformity's sake, I'm going to give this one. I'll find somebody who, maybe a cousin of mine who likes Star Trek more recently, that he's actually kind of likes Star Trek quite a bit. So I might even give this off to him. So there you go. Those were all the Star Trek movies, from Star Trek the Motion Picture to Star Trek Nemesis, and that's the DVD haul for today. Thank you guys. Bye. Take care.